Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ryder and we're just going to get right into it. Today I'm going to be talking about a few things or several things that I wish I'd known before teaching my children how to read this book. I first saw this lots of places, like most people I'm sure, when doing research on homeschooling, and maybe not fun, but an easy, simple way, a tried and true way for a parent to teach their young one how to read. Now, this book's title is Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. The first thing that I am going to mention that might go without notice, but if you're new to teaching and new as a homeschool parent, this right here, this advertisement marketing strategy, which the book is a good book, has its good points, but the marketing strategy that I didn't understand was teach your child to read in 100 easy lessons, okay? And then down here at the bottom, it says read in just 20 minutes a day. When I read that, I thought, okay, 100 lessons means 100 days. And then I thought 20 minutes. So the lessons are just going to take 20 minutes. No matter what, the lessons are going to take 20 minutes. Well, there's 100 lessons, guys. And maybe the first 18 to 20 might take, or I'm not going to say the average kid, but my kids, for my son, who's the oldest, he's 5, it took him about 20 minutes, sometimes 15 to 20 minutes for the first 19 lessons. After that, he was over it. I had to come up with several ways to keep him engaged. And here's the thing, I did not understand. I thought that, hey, we're supposed to be getting this one lesson done in 20 minutes. So like around lesson 25 or so, it might have started taking us 25 minutes, 30 minutes. And I'm like, what's going on? Because it said 20 minutes, So that's something that I will say. Good book, but not 100 lessons in 100 days. That's going to depend on you and your child, your time. And so, for instance, what that looks like now for my daughter, who is 4 and learning how to read with this book, that looks like for her, the first 25 lessons. And that might be because of just a couple of changes that I made, having done this already with my son. The first 25 to 30 lessons have taken her about 15 to 20 minutes, but around lesson 35 or so, we just switched to getting getting whatever we could get done in 20 minutes. So I didn't feel so rushed. Okay, it gives you tasks within each lesson to get through all, let's say 13 tasks. I understood, okay, let's take our time with, let's say, the first 1 through 7 tasks. So we would do it like lesson has 12 tasks in it. We would take just 20 minutes for the first 7. We would leave the next half of that lesson because they start to be able to read sentences and small paragraphs, maybe like 2 or 3 sentences by lesson 30, 35 in this book. And so I would save the stories, the comprehension, and all of that for the second half of the lesson. And I think that's something super valuable. Had I found a video where someone explained that to me before I made this purchase, I think we'd be better off with my son. Now, he still did fantastic. Both of them learned to read by the age of 4. Really proud of them, really proud of myself, but there was just a lot of learning curves doing this with my son the first time. A lot I did not fully understand. Another thing that I will say, let me show you, for instance, with my son, when I talk about having to do more engaging things. My daughter, since we just do the 20 minutes and do what we can do, and if there's a sound she's doing really great at, great. I always reiterate it with her, but if there's one that she didn't get right, we'll just kind of go back through it. I'll put it like at the end of that stack and re-review with her, and that's what I mean. I don't have to do anything too entertaining or to change it up. For my son, let me just show you. Okay, let me show you. I got a binder with this cute little picture on the front. And about lesson, I don't know where this starts in here because I didn't label it, but about lesson maybe 20, 25, I started having to make it a lot more fun. And so in the book, it will have you review the sounds from the previous lesson, and it just has it in black and white in the book. But my son needed some color, so let me just pull out some of these flashcards. I got some protective sleeves, and I would go kind of like prep whatever the sounds were going to be, whatever the words were going to be. I put them on colorful flashcards, so it just made it, for instance, like this. I put it on the flashcard, and that was just more engaging for him. more engaging for him, a little bit more work for me, obviously. So just something I kind of wish I had known beforehand. And so as you can see here, just the sounds and things on different color flashcards, which did help. We were definitely able to get through the book with him, or at least keep going, but it took some, making it work for us. And I'm going to show you this. I even went like to the Dollar Tree and they would have these little like hands or just different little shapes, and I would do his sounds on stuff like this. Made it fun. He sees a hand, we do like a high five whenever he would get the sound correct, and so it did make it fun. But it was just the reinventing, coming up with all of this and not understanding that this was something that might need to be done. So that was just like something I wish I'd known. And then I want to show you, for instance, when it came to him, when he began to read maybe like 2 or 3 sentences, it was boring. It's just black and white. And I'm not gonna say boring, it's simple, which I really appreciate still in this book, which is why we still use it. And even after going through it with my son, I started with my daughter because I felt that it was just a smooth transition, and simple enough, even though it's black and white and not really engaging, simple in the sense of whatever you're supposed to be doing, it's simple and black and white right there in front of you. But for my boy, he just sometimes needed a little bit more. So when it came to, I don't know if these are in order, but some of the sentences or little paragraphs, I found these. I don't even know exactly what these are called, but I found these at the Dollar Tree. I'm just gonna put one up. And so I just wrote the sentence out on this. Now, if you see like why some of the sounds are a little different, where they're stopped, that's just how the curriculum instructs you. So I just followed that. And he might have a whole paragraph he'd have to read, so I put a colorful piece of construction paper behind this for him, and he did really good with that. I kept it for my daughter. So far, she's around, I think she's only 37, maybe 40, and she hasn't had to have all this. She's, and like I said, that could be just because maybe she's a girl, or maybe because she's just, it's easier for her to understand the concept of reading, or it could be that mom understands that whatever you get done, we're going to review, definitely with the encouragement. And I have a list here because sometimes I can get on a tangent. Okay, so I'm going to look at my list real quick. So what I will say, what led me to purchase this book is, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but the book teaches D-STAR reading method, which I believe to be, instead of teaching your child, for instance, the word cat, some phonogram programs would say k-at, cat, right? And this book really was incredible at teaching your child to read with blends. So you would teach them the sounds of k-at, and instead of being like k-at, they'd blend it cat. And I heard another YouTuber explain it like Dory from Finding Nemo, dragging the sounds out, Dory, Nemo. And so I really like that approach, and it actually really helps my children to be able to read. Another thing I will say is, when it comes to, especially because this book leaves all the thrills at home, there are some illustrations in the book for the child to look at pictures, but they're also in black and white. The lessons are in black and white, and that's good because it's simple, it's not too distracting, it's straightforward. Since there's none of that, be sure you bring the enthusiasm. When your child says a sound, say, oh my God, that's correct. Now the book does give you some scripting to use, which I believe in that wholeheartedly, because you get to reinforce what the child is doing. So definitely use a script. But if your child mispronounces a word, say the word is cat, right? And they say k, and they can't remember or are having trouble saying the a sound, or maybe they say a or something like that, congratulate them on the sounds they get correctly. Good job, this sound says k. And that has just really helped. Being enthusiastic with both of my children with this curriculum has really helped. As you can see, I have put little tags here to remember the lessons. I have put little pieces of paper so I remember where we are. There's handwriting, there's comprehension. There is so much value to this book. There's a lot your child learns while doing this book. Another thing I will say about it that I wish I'd known, that I'm figuring out, and because we started early enough, I feel a sense of that's okay to figure it out as we go. I think that's anything that you do new for the first time, or different, or just new to you, even if it's not new to someone else, there's going to be a learning curve, and there's going to be some things that you just kind of like learn on the fly, you implement. But I will say, I don't believe that this is a complete curriculum, though I do believe it probably is complete in the sense if it's going to go over like phonics and the letter sounds and blends and sight words. It does have all of that in there. Your child is going to learn about punctuation and sentences and capital and lowercase. What I will say as far as complete is, I don't really even know how to explain it. Just for instance, the book is going to go over blends. So the sound TH. Okay. When it goes over those, it's not going to bring them up in a way of like, hey, today we're going to go over blends. And so these, this is the sound this letter makes. And you're going to do a bunch of, sounds with the blend, that, they, the. It does bring it forth, but just for me, and this might be something where it's just a me thing. Sometimes I like to, and maybe even if it had like a review page ahead of time for the parent, something to where it says, hey, your child is going to be learning vowels or blends. So these are common blends. These are the ones you need to review. It really doesn't say that. You just get it and you go, and the child does learn the blends, but it's like, okay, where are we? And maybe like if you were learning to do something, and say you were learning to sew a dress, and your sewing teacher or sewing instructor walks you through step by step how to sew the dress, or just kind of holds your hand while you do it, or just tells you what to do, versus you having to critically think or see, hey, this is the layout, this is the goal, this is what this means and how it looks. And I don't know if that's making any kind of sense. What I'll say is, to me, I don't believe it to be like a complete curriculum. There might be some things you still have to add in, pay attention to, review, things like that. So that's what I'll say about that. And that could be a me thing, but it's just another thing I wish someone had even just alerted me about, to where, hey, maybe it is complete, but because I'm not totally sure on what to expect, what the child should know, and it really doesn't totally lay it out for me like that, it kind of left me a little in the dark. Another thing I will say is, along like with the other things you can do that don't really have anything to do with the book, like be enthusiastic and be encouraging, is be consistent. So with my son, I was still working like full-time hours as a registered nurse. So we would still, when we started this book, do the lessons 4 times a week, but sometimes it might be 3, and sometimes it'd be like maybe a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. I think that probably is still okay, because my son still was able to recall a lot of the concept we went over, and he would surprise me. But sometimes there might be like a 4-day gap, and then we do 3 or 4 days of a lesson. But the consistency with my daughter, we do Monday through Thursday, review, and then sometimes still on the weekend there we will still kind of review some sounds, but just not any lessons. So whatever you do, it doesn't have to be like I'm doing it. It could be a lot better, it could be a lot more consistent and a lot more scheduled. But I have found that being consistent, doing it at least 4 times a week, and then still having that review in there in some kind of fun way, is very important for you to get the most out of this, and for your child to have a little less frustration. I'm gonna check my list one more time, make sure there's not anything I'm forgetting. What I will say is, I did appreciate, as a first-generation homeschooling parent, is tried and true. All I'm kind of coming up with today, guys, those are just a few of the things I wish I had known. Like I said, we still use this book today. My son is 5, and I have gotten another language arts curriculum just to kind of, piece in the gaps. But when we got into that curriculum, he's reading, and that's thanks to this book. So I don't have any negative comments. Like I said, we still use it, and I even started this with my daughter, though we have a new curriculum, because I like that it's simple. But I also kind of wanted just to see something maybe different, and see if we would come out a little better with something that I felt was a little bit more complete. But definitely starting out, this has been my mainstay as far as how to introduce the sounds, how to introduce putting words together. I still really love this book. I started teaching my son to read at the age of 4. I purchased this book when he was 3.5, and I started reading the first 30 pages just leisurely. I started early to kind of give myself some time, give us some wiggle room, to where if something wasn't really working out, we could pivot and change. And so that's exactly what we've done. So I think this is still a great purchase, especially as a new homeschooler homeschooling parent, I wanted to share some things I wasn't expecting, didn't really know to be aware of. So if you've used this book, if you're using this book, because I still am, leave your feedback, leave your thoughts, leave any tips and things that you're doing with your kids. Another thing I will say is I also incorporated some snacks occasionally. So when they had to use their finger to, or when they do use their finger to like read a sentence, instead of it just being their boring finger, sometimes I'll use like one of their favorite little characters. So it might be Sky or Chase from Paw Patrol, or it might be a little goldfish that they're dragging across the page. So those are definitely ways that really have helped my children stay engaged and encouraged, and just make it fun for all of us. So thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you again real soon. Good luck in your homeschool. Bye.